is predators in Natalie's family. The woman in the picture is Rose M. Kelly, aka Rose M. Self. This is the woman who chose abusive men over her own children. This is one of many people in the Bollinger family who, to this day, helped to cover for Ted Bollinger and the fact that he fucked his own kids. There's also the fact that Natalie Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger weren't exactly quiet about it. They went around and told everybody about what their daddy did to them, who helped them turn it in. The only person who even offered was me. Of course, they were adults by that point. They were trying to follow your advice, just get the hell away from them. But you know what? Without me, she had nowhere else to go. She had no familiarity to go back to except for those predators. There's a reason that when she came into my life, after me trying to run her and her sister off for years, there's a reason that when she came into my life, when she was an adult, that she told me, hey, I was going to kill myself 100 times, and thinking of you is the only reason I didn't. If the police and the Bollingers spent half as much time putting away the predators as they do trying to hide their own crimes, Natalie Bollinger would still be alive. So what are they going to do? Are they going to continue slandering her name and her words? And all this time, I've been able to produce other witnesses. Not just evidence from Natalie and Alicia Bollinger themselves, literally sent from them, from their numbers to mine. Why would you tell somebody that you love them over and over and over again and invite them to go places with you? Insist that you go out on your birthday. Insist on picking a type of cake. Insist on these things. And Natalie did insist. If I was truly stalking her, why did she insist that I do so many things with her? Why did she insist? Why did her sister insist that I have lunch with her? Or that I go out for almost every single cigarette break that she had at work? Natalie Bollinger said that I stayed behind her works for weeks. That is not true. The other thing is, I had officers tell me that I couldn't turn in my predators in the jurisdiction I was in. I had to go to the jurisdiction where my predators were to do this. I had to try to go to the places where my predators were to try to turn them in. Now let me tell you about Natalie Bollinger's protection order. After her and her friends threatening, harassing, and assaulting me for well over a year, slandering my name resulting in countless assaults, after as loud-mouthed as Natalie Bollinger was about her dad raping her and having her have sex with other people to pay her debts, after literally hundreds of people who knew her in real life knew that she was sliced to ribbons from when she was very young, what do those cuts come from? Daddy raped you and mommy doesn't care, or mommy isn't there. Statistically, that is how it is. For boys, it's different. It's not different in why. Somebody is doing horrible things to him. And when he goes for help turning in his predators, he's going to get the mentally ill treatment. You only have to go through that once to know that death is preferable to that treatment. It is inhumane. It is barbaric. And I have every right and every reason to be angry about it. Even if I were schizophrenic, as my predators who are not qualified to make that decision want to claim. Does that make it okay to physically assault me? Does that make it okay to threaten to kill my friends and my family? Does that make it okay to look the other way when I come forward with actual evidence to show? When I have to turn in Sheriff Scott DaCosta, forcing me to turn it into Sheriff Scott DaCosta is a felony for any agency that does that. That automatically made Nebraska State Patrol need to be fucking audited immediately. Yes, that is the word for it, audited. When the cops that I am told to go to turn this in tell me it's not their job and force me to literally go to the officer by name that I am trying to turn in, they are knowingly and willingly and willfully committing felonies. That makes them complicit in these crimes. It also makes them complacent and neglectful of their duties, of their charge to the American taxpayers. Paulie Olson got busted. Ha ha! How many months before she got busted did I tell on her for exactly the same thing? How about Michelle Quinn? How many months before she got busted beating on her girlfriend? This is a sheriff in Chapel, Nebraska, in Garden County, Nebraska. That's right. Jurisdiction didn't matter, did it? Scott DaCosta was able to use Scottsbluff Hospital, Scottsbluff Jail, Scottsbluff Sheriff's Department and Police Department. He was able to utilize Garden County Sheriff Michelle Quinn, who, well, she's no longer sheriff. Why? Because she's violent. And who was it that investigated that? Nebraska State Patrol, who claims it's not their job to police the police. How about Paulie Olson, who is also involved in my situation on multiple counts and multiple levels? That would be Nebraska State Patrol. Of course, they treated me like shit when I tried to turn these predators in. I did admit that I always liked Michelle Quinn, but that didn't mean she didn't beat on that poor woman. Not their job to police the police. Well, that's 2 counts of bullshit right there. How about, of course, Nebraska State Patrol is the ones who investigated another predator I tried to turn in, Sarah Nelson. And another one I tried to turn in, Michelle DeCini. Are you guys not seeing a pattern here? I try to turn in predators. Law enforcement looks the other way, pretends that I'm retarded and I made it up, and then they go and arrest these people. Funny how that works out. How they tell me it's not their job and not their job, and then once their officers have committed felonies against me, including putting a knee on the back of my neck all George Floyd style. Congratulations, America. Wake up. Don't tell me about how you woke You ain't woke if you fighting for black rights. Wake up, America. There are black homeless people who nobody gives a fuck about. There are white homeless people nobody gives a fuck about. There are Jewish people who are on the streets nobody cares about. There are Muslim people on the streets and Christian people on the streets, and each and every one of them is an individual with thoughts, feelings, and opinions of their own. You tell us we need to feel bad for the junkies in houses. Oh, no, wait, if they're in houses, they're addicts, and we're supposed to feel sorry for them. But if it's an addict out on the street, these are the people that I deal with. The ones who are in destitute situations. People who are living in the United States, where foreigners tell us how lucky we are to be rich because we're Americans. All Americans are rich. Don't you know that? Every American is rich. Meanwhile, our expenses and what we're allowed to utilize and use here in the United States puts us in worse conditions than most third world countries. All of the land is owned by greedy people. Land barons who, every generation, buy up more and more of the map. They own larger and larger parcels, and they tell us that we owe them for existing on the parcel. You owe these rich people for possessing you as if you were livestock. I'm tired of all the killing. Natalie Bollinger's family spent more time pointing fingers and placing blame and lying and fucking harassing and playing head games and then playing victim when they got busted. So did the cops. There are so many situations that I need to turn in, but I can't. Because I have so many of them. Getting someone who actually has the time to even look at it and help me turn it in is so difficult. And a lot of people, they just can't help themselves. They have their own trauma. And even though they tell me they have a support network and that they're going to make it about me and they're finally going to listen, oftentimes they just end up reverting right back to that situation where they want to tell a story that's similar. And then, of course, they lose sight of the message, the voice, and the point. All because of a piece of nostalgia over their abuse. Looks were ultimately the most important thing to most of these predators. You got to see how many of them look at it. Absolutely. Look at how many of them, looks and gender, the two greatest bias in the United States. The numbers with the police and who they kill shows who it is that Americans don't care about. See, when you've got, well, there's a movie called The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio. He says that cops join the police force not because they want to help people or make the world a better place, but because they want to shoot somebody. Now, if you as a police officer are taught the statistics, then you know right there who it is that you can get away with killing. But this is the United States of America. It's not even that complicated. You can watch the news and see who it is that the news is telling you to hate, pointing you in the direction of hating, not allowing to speak. If they say it, it must be true, and the American public will do horrible things to you. Horrible things because the news said so. Or even worse, some true crime thing that doesn't want to look at evidence, refuses to look at both sides. The media didn't want to look at both sides, and they certainly didn't want to look at actual evidence. What they showed was slander. What is that? That is actual evidence. It is evidence of slander. That slander, combined with my evidence, proves that it's slander, but somebody got to look at it. There's also the evidence that the police have access to. Many of those situations where evidence was lost, stolen, or destroyed, it was directly at the hands of police officers. And of course, there's also their own body cameras, and I needed help to requisition that body camera. But how do you do that when you're abused and you're supposed to go to your friends and family immediately, but you can't because you're incarcerated? Or you can't because when you made a post saying that you were not willing to kill people, you had a whole bunch of people who pretended like it was a threat against people's lives. That's right, that was James Payton. I made a post saying that I wasn't willing to kill him and I wasn't able to kill him. And of course, I got a 30-day ban for that. Thank you, Jamie Curtis. Speaking of protecting your predators. Rose M. Kelly, Danica Garner, Rochelle Shelley Campbell, and of course, Alicia Bollinger and Natalie Bollinger all did everything that they could to protect the predators, to protect Ted Bollinger, despite all of the evil things that he had done to them. Now, whether or not she told the truth about Ted Bollinger, looking at the history, yeah, she told the truth about Ted Bollinger. What's the difference between myself and Ted Bollinger? When I'm victimized, people pretend I'm a Ted Bollinger. Public pretenders don't do their job because I'm homeless and broke and don't have a family that gives a fuck. That is always how it is. When my family claims that they're going to help me, what it's going to do is cost me time and money. They're scammers, all of them. My mom and my dad were a perfect fucking fit for each other. Both of them only care about sex and money. How American is that of them? Very American. Very, very American of them. A lot of people I know, they be broke, right? They're broke white folk. That's the majority of the people that I know now. A bunch of broke white folk. Shit, man. Their excuses for not coming forward and telling the truth is everything from they're afraid of the police. They were harassed by the police. They were afraid of the Bollingers. They were harassed by the Bollingers. The Bollingers threatened to kill him. Web wingnuts were threatening to kill him, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Of course, when I tried to turn that in, crickets. None of these people helped me to turn it in. They wanted me to tell me this stuff. This is what they wanted to tell me this stuff for. Because these are the things that women say that it's supposed to make it okay for them to bow out after they've done something fucked up. Oh, Sean, I'm sorry I did such a fucked up thing, but, you know, my kids are sick. But I'll do it in 3 weeks. You know what? How many times are you going to do that to me? In order for me to get peace, when crimes are committed against me, I have to turn them in right away with a friend or family member. When you guys say, oh, Sean, you can't just expect me to drop everything. You know what? If you told me that you were being fucking abused, you goddamn right I would stop and drop everything. Matter of fact, according to the law, federal law, every mandated reporter in the entire fucking country, even if you are in the middle of work, if you are in the middle of a phone call, and someone tells you the things that I am instructed to tell people, I am instructed to tell mandated reporters very specific information. Very specifically, the information that is supposed to get them to listen. Before Natalie was killed, because of the threats, harassment, and assaults that I was enduring, I for goddamn sure went to lawyers who told me they couldn't do anything. I need to go to a friend or a family member and they have to care. I need to write everything down, which I did faithfully, to the best of my fucking ability. My ledger from before Natalie was killed was in Ken and Leah's garage. I never got that ledger back. That ledger also said how much people owed me, how much people had ripped me off for over my disability money, and why. What they'd said to me. And you know what? If you listen to each and every one of these people when they told me these things, it's a sob story, and I felt sorry for them. Oh, Sean, I can help you, but you got to help me. You got to help me first, Sean. Sean, you got to help me out first. Sean, I need this, and Sean, I need that. Sean, Leah is spending a lot of money on the fucking internet, dude. I cannot handle this. Yeah, that's what Ken was telling me. So, before Natalie was killed, I had to make a choice. I could either stay in low income in Chapel, Nebraska. I was never there because Chapel, Nebraska is historically not good to me. Boulder, Colorado was. Yeah, the police are complete and total fucking shit there. But I had a very, very, very good reputation because I saved lives and nothing but. I went to work and then I went back to saving lives. I protected children and I protected adults, and guess what? I never changed. I was always willing to go to prison to protect your children. And now I have been to prison for trying to protect you and your children from predators like Scott DaCosta, Leslie Snell. That's right, Sheriff Scott DaCosta. His receptionist, Leslie Snell, her friend, and registered Nebraska sex offender, Robert Franklin Warnick. And of course, William Barr, one of the former officers who claimed that he was a part of the investigation with Natalie Bollinger. Now, when I promised to take him to court, let him know the next time I contacted him, it would be through a lawyer. This is what this fucking coward did. This is something that we teach women and cops to do. After you get busted, you play retarded and play victim. He even wanted to throw him and Jessica's son's name into it. Pretend like I had threatened to harm Jessica and Jack. He wanted to use his former position as a Denver deputy. Now, I want you to take a look at this situation. What did it take for Waylon Lolatai to get removed as a Denver deputy? It took him assaulting innocent people. How many times was I assaulted? How many times did any of you care enough to help me turn it in? To help me get the body camera evidence? To help me get the actual evidence? No, you guys all did the same thing that the Bollingers did. You wanted to tell me about your predators, and when I spoke up, what did you do? You scrambled to protect your predators or to hide it. Sean, how dare you give out my personal information? Excuse me, says I. You were the one who was going to help me, remember? And we made it about you. Well, I made it about you. You wanted to make it about you? Fine. I'm going to record it. Whether we make it about turning in my predators or we make it story time for you, I'm recording it either way. It's our time. If you want to waste it talking about you when you claimed that you were going to help me, that's on you. That's why that is what's recorded. You wanted to talk about you. That's why you talking about you is recorded. These predators played on bias against men. Like Leonardo DiCaprio said in that movie, these officers join the force because they want to shoot somebody. Statistically, per capita, a homeless man is over 100 times more likely to be killed than a black man in his lifetime. It's actually something like 120. Hold on. In 2019, there were 60 million black people, and they accounted for 22% of those killed by police. The homeless accounted for 500,000. That's only 1/120th the population size of black people in America. And yet they account for more than double those killed by police every year. More than double. Number 1 on the list is men. Number 2 on the list is former foster children. Number 3 on the list is disabled people. Number 4 on the list is homeless people. But per capita, homeless are number 1. There is over double the amount of homicides against homeless people. Over double compared to black folks. Imagine if the homeless had the same population as black folks and were killed at the same rate that they are killed now. The police would literally be able to murder 48,000 homeless people per year if we had a population size of 60 million. But we don't, so we don't matter. We don't make up for enough of the population to matter. 80% of us are out here because this is what we were reduced to when we are victimized to this shit. You tell us to feel sorry for the addicts in houses, but the junkies out on the streets, they deserve it. They deserve to be arrested. They don't deserve treatment. They should be locked up and someone should throw away the key. No, I listen to the American public. I listen to their opinions. I pay attention to when their opinions differ. I heard so many people on the streets say, when I get up and out, when I get up and out, when I get up and out, and then you get up and out and you in housing, and then you forget where you came from. You always said, I'll never forget where I came from. When I get up and out, I'm going to remember all you guys who fucking helped me out. I'm going to remember all you guys. And then you get up and out because we all work together to help you get up and out. And once you was up and out, you just wanted to forget we exist. Yeah, I helped a lot of people get off the streets. I fulfilled my end of the bargain to receive a lot of empty promises in my lifetime. But the worst of these was the promise by people who claimed to love me and claimed to care about me. That if I was harmed and I let them know, they would actually do something about it. People don't commit suicide over being raped. People don't commit suicide over being molested. People don't commit suicide because their dad is raping them, or their husband is raping them, or heaven forbid their mother is raping them, or their teacher is raping them. People don't commit suicide over that. We all know inherently that there's somebody that we need to go to when we're being abused like that to try to get help, so that we don't have to turn it in alone, so that we don't have to be afraid. when we go to our trusted friend. See, that's what I was always told to do. Go to a trusted friend. Don't you have any friends that you can trust to help you to turn this in? No, I don't. I tried. I got lots of empty promises that were stretched out for months. I'm supposed to go to my friends and family immediately and turn it in immediately. And when I tried, I was treated horribly. Oh, Sean, you just need to let it go. There's a difference between being raped once 20 years ago and still being stuck in a situation where you're going to be raped repeatedly. Teresa Macelia, when she tried to turn in her rapist, she tried to fight him off and prevent him from raping her, but she was tiny. When she went to turn it in, she was charged with assault for fighting off her rapist. So then there's Miss Kelly. What happened to her? Well, she was going to college to become a pediatrician. What happened to her? She was raped. Well, she didn't want to fight back because she didn't want to get charged with assaulting her rapist. What happened to her? They destroyed her education and her future. They charged her with making a false report. If you raped her, there's evidence. You need to collect it. Teresa Macelia told on one of the officers who assaulted me. One of the witnesses to the assault is a meth dealer from Boulder, Colorado. His name was George Helmstetter. You can hear his voice on my channel. Many people tried to hide and cover up for the predators. They wanted to hide the information they knew about these drug dealers. But guess what? I got the drug dealers themselves to admit they were drug dealers. Recorded on this channel, Kayla Trujillo admitted to being a drug dealer right here on my channel. George Helmstetter admitted to being a meth dealer right on my channel, and he admitted I don't fuck with meth. My predators tried to pretend that I was a schizophrenic druggie to get you people to fucking hurt me, and you did. And you did. You fell for it hook, line, and fucking sinker. Jennifer Farina Bollinger was very heavily involved. Anytime I tried to speak up, she would try to bury it in poor Natalie, poor us, poor Natalie bullshit. They never gave a fuck about Natalie. They proved that in her lifetime by covering for her predators, including her dad and Tim fucking Beeson. And after her death, people who I thought were my friends, like Todd Ryan Case, who claimed he was going to help me, instead got fucked up on ketamine, abused the shit out of myself and his girlfriend. And then, many years later, he lets me know that he's friends with Ted Bollinger, Natalie's rapist, Natalie's predator, and mine as well, and Alicia Bollinger's as well, and Rochelle Shelley Campbell's as well, and Danica Garner's as well. Rose M. Kelly ain't his only victim. I'm not his only victim. I tried to work together with Ted Bollinger's victims to turn him in, but what did they do? They did everything that they could to try to hide their own sins, their own shame, because they all knew they should have worked together to turn him in before Natalie Bollinger got her brains blown out. They needed a fucking scapegoat. And so did the police. And it was easy. All they had to do was pick a male, homeless, disabled person and magically everything is fine and dandy. Oh, and by the way, I'm also a former foster child. When it comes to people who are the most likely to be killed by police, you are not likely to find somebody at higher risk than myself. When you give that speech to your black kid, you need to give that speech to your autistic child as well. You need to give that to your autistic child, even if your child is not black. You need to give that to your child with Tourette syndrome, even if your child is not black. If you are forced into homelessness, you need to give your child that speech immediately, because it could save their life and yours. And you need to find the way to record it, God damn it, by whatever means that you need to. Do not go in alone. Do not go to these quote-unquote professionals without protecting yourself with recording devices first. They can refuse to do their jobs. And if it's not recorded on your end, well, they claim that they're recording for your safety. When you try to get that information, they tell you it's going to take an act of God. No, that is not what the law says. There is a legal route. And an act of God is not it. It is never appropriate for a lawyer to lie to somebody in such a fashion as if, seriously, who in their right fucking mind would believe that mentally retarded bullshit? These people are literally going out of their way to pretend I am mentally retarded. Oh, it'll take an act of God. Really? Well, how the fuck do we subpoena the almighty, bitch? You're helping the predators get away. You can go fuck yourself. You want your goddamn privacy when it comes to children, the disabled, or the elderly? You can expect no right to privacy. And that is federal law, motherfuckers.